What's going on, Tar Heel Nation? It is your favorite North Carolinian, Russ, the Tar Heel, and I am extremely excited about this daggum show, man, because I got some hooligans. Let me get my fingers right real quick with me tonight, man, and I am super excited about this show, dude. I told you guys, man, that one of the things that I wanted to do moving forward is we're going to get the fan base involved, man. I want to get the hooligans in here, and I want to know, I want to be able to check the temperature every single week and find out what everybody is feeling about this football program, about the football season, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that the Tar Heel Huddle is probably the only channel that I can think of, Carolina sports, involved, that's actually doing this, man. So I think we're kind of setting the pace here, man. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate these guys, to my top diagonal and to my, as you're looking at the screen, to my right, man. So without further ado, I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves and let you know a little bit about them. And without further ado, Mr. Lovey, go ahead and start with you, brother.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hello, hooligans. Finally seeing a face with everybody. We all see Russ, but good to see Dennis and Hutch as well. Mike is my real name. Lovey is my high school football nickname. I'll have to tell that story down the road. It has something to do with Steve Miller Band, Lovey-Dovey all the time. But diehard Carolina fan. My dad was a State fan. Boo. And I grew up a Carolina fan, just kind of always pulled for the opposite team that he pulled for. He pulled for Dallas. I pulled for Pittsburgh. He pulled for State. I pulled for Carolina. And it's just how it is, man. I'm a little bit older probably than most in here. I'm about 54, so I've seen a lot of years of Carolina football and basketball, but I'm Carolina born and bred all the way from the beginning, and I bleed blue. So let's go Tar Heels. Also representing the 336 area code up in here.
There you go. I like it, man. Where are you from? That's what I'm talking about, bro. Yep. That's what I'm talking about. Good to have you, Lovey. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Dennis.
Hey, my name is Dennis. I grew up in North Carolina in Franklin County. Played football there all my life, and eventually got to play some college ball and out at Western Carolina. And I eventually moved to the West Coast. Don't hold that against me. We try to. I have a family with my daughter Abigail and my lovely Veronica. My thing is this: I looked for the longest time for a show like this, where guys can get together, just Carolina fans, and can get together and get different perspectives on how we feel about where the program is. But the interesting thing is, to me, of the hooligans is the vast knowledge of each and every one of the hooligans of where the program was, their knowledge, the hooligans' knowledge of going back in time and calling out names. You don't see this normally with programs, a fan base like this, where they can talk about football and talk about basketball and then break it down and then talk about the old guys from back in the day. So I'm excited to hear different perspectives and where everybody wants the program to go from here.
100%, man. 100%. Appreciate you, Dennis. Hutch.
Yeah, my first name's Jeff. I don't know if anybody knows that. Last name's Hutchison, so everybody goes, I've been Hutch my entire life. And so it was my grandfather, my dad, my brother, and it gets confusing sometimes. So, I found this channel honestly by accident. Born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Most of my family still lives there. And grew up watching Pitt and Penn State play, but loved college football from the time I was probably 4 years old, and love it to this day. And really kind of found Russ in this channel by accident, where he posted a video a couple years back on his favorite and most hated Carolina uniforms. And we started bonding over that because we both hated the Tar Pit uniforms, and that's kind of how it started. And Pitt played North Carolina last year, and that was the first time I called in, and just to discuss the upcoming game and Russ and I have kind of become friends over this, just shared love of college football, and I've mentioned that, girl that I love in my life is from North Carolina, and I've been there a bunch of times. Love the state, love the people. You guys know that I've kicked at both North Carolina and the hated NC State. I tried to get on to Duke, and they wouldn't let me, so screw them.
Amen.
But yeah, it's a great bunch of guys. And to echo what Lovey and Dennis said, man, it's knowledgeable, it's fun. We have a lot of fun, man. If you're not in a Discord and you watch this channel, do it. Honestly, that's where you need to be, man, because it's a ton of fun, man. We talk about anything and everything, man. It's football, it's basketball, it's life, it's a bunch of different things, and it's a great bunch of dudes, man. So look into it.
I agree, man. And what Hutch is talking about is the Huddle Hooligans, man. That's how you get access to the Discord right now. And obviously, as the channel grows, we'll have a couple of other things, that benefit you as being a member of the channel. But these guys have been here for a long time, man. I've developed a pretty good friendship with a lot of them. Now, we've never met in person, but we talk every day, which is crazy. It's like even through the off season, we talk every day. It's something Carolina. And so it's a really good time, man. It's a great place to vent. We've seen a lot of venting there. And, once again, there's really no right or wrong answer. And that's what's cool about it is, everybody's entitled to their opinion. We hash it out. We talk about it. And we have a good time, man. So like I said, like the gentleman said, dude, look into the Huddle Hooligans. Consider becoming a member today, man. I promise you that you won't regret it, man. It's a good time. It's a good time. And it's only going to continue to grow. So the first thing that I want to talk about in this show, all right, is it's not even new news, obviously, but I want to know what the temperature is with the Belichick hire. Okay. Now, you guys know that I'm ecstatic about this. This is like a dream come true to me. This is Carolina football actually graduating to the next level, having the main ingredient, the piece in place that's necessary to change the culture, which is necessary in order for them to be a successful program, like we've all dreamed that they would consistently, perennially be. But what do you guys think about the Belichick hire? I'm gonna start with you, Dennis.
I'm all for it. Anytime that you can upgrade any part of your program and you can get one of the best out there, and that individual, regardless if it was Belichick or any other successful coach that can come in and do what he can do. There's not many coaches out there. We like to use the word a lot of times, pedigree. And there isn't anybody out there that we could have grabbed onto that could do what Belichick can do. My thing is this. We've talked about this and for the longest time about North Carolina football not having a culture. Not having a culture. And I knew as soon as I heard his name, I knew that our culture was going to change, and it was going to change for the better. And the hire itself, I knew that he was going to bring in great assistant coaches, and that I knew the hire was going to be. I knew it was a great hire, and it was going to be a great fit. As far as all this other sideways stuff and all of that, that didn't bother me. That didn't bother me because I knew that he would not have distractions from that part of his life or whatever you want to say about it. But I like the hire. I think Coach Belichick is the coach that can get us where we want to be, and not just 8-4, us contending every year.
Right. Every year. Yeah. So Lovey, do you think Belichick was a great hire? I think that's probably a silly question, but even more so as Mac is talking about, what do you think about Lombardi being the GM? How important is that to the building of this program?
I think that's, to me, that's just as important, if not as Belichick. I think, Lombardi's done it at the highest level, and they've built championship teams in New England. And listen, like I said earlier, I'm a Steelers fan, so I was not a New England fan, but I had a lot of respect for Belichick from way back in the day with the Giants and the whole flip-flop thing with the Jets. And I mean, the man's a winner, and he can take average talent and turn it into Pro Bowl talent. So I think the working relationship between Lombardi and Belichick, he needed somebody he can trust. That's why he brought his sons. That's why he brought in Lombardi. So I don't think if he knew these other guys wasn't on board with him, I don't think Belichick probably would have went so hard at it. And also, I think his sales pitch, not really a sales pitch, but you know what I mean? Like, hey, I can get you to here in this amount of time. And for Lombardi and his age and Belichick at their age to leave the cushy life of, they don't need this money at this point.
Right.
They got a ton of money.
Right.
They're doing it like a lot of high school coaches do, a lot of Pop Warner coaches doing it. They're doing it because they love the game. They want to invest into other people. They want to sow into other people. That's their legacy. Bill Belichick didn't need Carolina for his legacy. Lombardi don't either. They're doing it at this point and getting paid a pretty good amount as well.
Right.
But only thing I would caution Carolina fans on, and I know you may not, you and Dennis and Hutch may disagree, and definitely Preston, probably it's in the chat, is the only thing I would say is just pump the brakes a little bit this year. I mean, this is a 2, 3, 4, 5 year down the thing. Yeah, we can get some wins this year, but they are building for the future. It's, we want to win now, and I'm right there with everybody. But this is a culture, and establish it, a playbook on how to get there 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road.
Right. Right. So pump the brakes just a little bit, but the hire is good. Yeah. What you got, Hutch?
I mean, I think it's a good hire, and why I hesitate to go to great is this. He's not 43 years old. He's 73 years old. And it's how long is he going to be there long term? And, I know that a lot of the fan base will be, well, his son will take over. Okay, that's not the same as having Bill Belichick, and no matter how much you may want it to be. And you talk about building a culture, and the thing is, he may build a culture. And you look at how many programs, and it's funny, I thought about it today, of how many of these powerhouse programs, and I'll give you an example, is you look at Urban Meyer built an absolute powerhouse at Florida in a short amount of time, won a couple national titles. And when he left, that program fell into absolute mediocrity for a decade.
Good point.
So he may build something here, and when he, God forbid, dies, which, God forbid doesn't happen in the next 7, 10 years, he's got a long, healthy life, or retires, is that going to be continued to the level? And, like Lovey said, he's Russ, we got a flyer in the sergeant's office, and it's a badge, not a magic wand. He's not a miracle worker. He's not going to come in here and snap his fingers and win 11 games. Do I think he can be successful? Absolutely. Do I think that it's going to happen right off the bat? No. And how long is it going to take? If it does take 3, 4 years, he's now 77, 78. Is he still here? Does he finally say, hey, look, I've done what I need to do in football. I'm going to go enjoy my life.
Right.
So, it is. I think it's the best possible coach y'all could have gotten. But again, I'm looking long-term as, is it going to pay long-term dividends?
Right. Right. So what do you think? Let's just say hypothetically that he's here for 5 years. Hypothetically. What is the thing that he could do most to help Carolina become a perennial great program? What do you think? And we'll start with you, Dennis. What do you think is the thing that he could work on in the next 5 years that would enable us to continue, we'll just say, the hypothetical success that we think is coming under his tenure?
Actually, I have 2 parts to it, if you will. I think, if you don't mind, I believe the most important thing he can establish is North Carolina football players, high school. He needs to get, Carolina needs to get back to rating coffin, so to speak, of high school players. Carolina, he needs to establish North Carolina in the state.
Right.
Second most important thing is to establish, we all kind of believe that it's going to be his son, is to establish him and put him in a position that he knows that his son can add to whatever, what Hutch was talking about. We don't know. It might be 3 years, might be 2 years, might be 4 years. But whenever he leaves, there's somebody in place. Look at, the Ohio States and the Michigans and whoever they plug in, they keep rolling. And I think he needs to do those two things more so than any other. I think he needs to establish the state of North Carolina, getting them good players out of there. Looks like he's starting to. And two, if in fact it's going to be his son to take over, his son is well versed in every avenue to make Carolina's program continue and keep heading towards the next level.
Okay. Lovey?
Yeah, I mean, he's got, if I'm not mistaken, he's got two sons there, right? But everybody talks about Steve.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Carolina football, listen, let's just keep it real, right? That's one of my nicknames too, is keeping it real. We've become a wussy team on the offense and defensive line.
Especially
we've been pushed around, we've been beaten up. Teams are coming in and whipping us on the line of scrimmage. All these 5 stars, 4 stars we got never developed. He's got to develop players. We got to get bigger, faster, stronger. We don't need to be the all airport team coming off 6'6", 270 and looking good, but then getting pushed 5 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Right.
That's going to take 2, 3, 4 years. All these D linemen, I think I made this comment in the Hooligan last week, was it's great to get 4 and 5 stars, but if you're on the offensive defensive line, rarely, now Bamfield's an exception to that last year, rarely is an offensive defensive lineman going to come straight out of high school, be benching 450, 500 pounds, squatting 600, 700 pounds, and can hold his own on the line, because these boys are big, fast, strong, and we get pushed around.
Yeah.
So that's just keeping it real. We have to, I hate to say it, somebody even like Duke, you can tell Duke has gotten stronger on the offensive and defensive line. And when we're playing these teams in the last couple of years, when it got to the third and fourth quarter, they're pushing us off the line of scrimmage. We've been blessed to have a great back like Hampton and a great quarterback like May, that they could put the game on their shoulders and win it for us.
Right.
But I want to see us get back in the trenches. I'm a big old offensive and defensive lineman from back in the day. Let's run the ball. Let's get behind the rock, throw it when we need to, slow the game down. I know people don't like that, like fast-paced throw. We need to pound the rock eventually. It may not happen this year. I do think we're going to run the ball a little more this year. But down the road, we need to establish that line of scrimmage and make other teams know and feel that they played Carolina, instead of, well, let's go into baby blue Carolina and let's push them around the third and fourth quarter and let James Madison come in and put 70 points on the board on you, pushing you around the offensive defensive line. We got to get meaner, physical, develop talent, and develop down the road.
Yeah. 100%, man. This might sound silly, but when you talk about Larry Fedora, who was kind of like a cookie cutter, good looking dude, man, he's on the sidelines, he's got his little visor on and everything, it was almost the epitome of what people would say, yeah, Carolina's, soft. They look good. They look good, but they're a little soft, man. Then you go to Mac. Mac is always usually pretty clean cut guy, grandpa-ish, especially in his latter years. But one of the things that this may sound really silly to you guys, but I'm enjoying watching disheveled Bill Belichick, walking around the practice facility. I'm really excited to see Steve with, his just he's unkempt, man. Yeah, bro, he's unkempt, man. There's a little bit of like grit and roughness and just, I don't care what I look like, bro. I'm here to coach football. I'm here to stink and make you tough, bro. And when they talk about changing the culture and, you know, especially in the trenches, you know, sometimes it just starts with you just not caring how people think you look, man. And I just like to see a couple of cavemen walking the sidelines, man. That's just me. That's just me. What do you think, Hutch?
Well, I mean, if you know anything about Belichick, if you've, you know, done any kind of reading on him, you know, I remember reading Education of a Coach 20 plus years ago. The guy literally it's all about the game. And it's why, you know, if you know anything about his dad coached at Navy, was one of the greatest advanced scouts possibly in history. And part of why Bill didn't go that route is that he didn't want any part of the recruiting, and it just didn't suit him. And you know, they talk about how if he had coached in college, he would have been happy at, you know, he's a D3 guy from, I think, Middlebury in Vermont. And, you know, that's where he would have been happy, you know, coaching and actually teaching. And those are his strong suits. And I think if he has an advantage, that's what it is that you're going to have a guy who is going to be meticulous about the finer things, the X's and O's, and not only that, the technique, you know, and you know, you may not know this. I coached at the Division III and Division II level, was a defensive backs coach, was a linebackers coach. And one of the guys the coach was said, you know, if your fundamentals aren't good, it doesn't matter what your X's and O's are. If you can't block, if you can't tackle, if you can't do the little things, it doesn't matter what your scheme is.
Right.
And I think to the average fan, you know, they don't understand how much simple things like alignment, you can take so many things away from being aligned properly in the proper gap, taking proper pursuit angles, proper tackling angles. You know, just all these things that should be fundamentally taught. And, you know, it was one of the things that always kind of warmed my heart 20 years ago. And, you know, I'd coach linebackers at McMurray College and you know, we'd have lost a game, whatever, come back, and I'd watch college football. And, hey, the guys at the Division I level are making all the same mistakes we made this afternoon. So,
yeah,
you know, I think those are his strong suits, is that he's a teacher of the game. And, you know, going forward, I think that's what's going to end up being what draws kids. That and the fact that I think, you know, that this is a guy who's been in the NFL. And if you know anything about these kids, they all think they're going to be in the NFL. They come here, they want someone who's going to coach them up and get them to be a Sunday player. And, you know, so I kind of think that when he's here, that's a draw. And then when he leaves, is that draw still here? Is it still the same draw to play for Steve Belichick as it is to play for Bill Belichick?
Right.
You know, and the second thing I'll say is where are you going to be in that time? Are you still going to be in the ACC, or are you now going to be in the giant Shark Tank of the SEC, where you're now competing with that? So, you know, again, it's like I think that this man is going to do a really good job short term, but I can't really say with any certainty what's going to happen in 5 years. What's it going to be? I think, honestly, if he's here for 3 years, I think you guys are going to be a solid program in 2028. You know, that's going to be a year where, hey, you know, if you're still in the ACC, you're going to be a contender.
Right. Right. If we're still in the ACC.
You know, again, I think from what I've read, I think the earliest that you could get out was 2030, but I don't know. It seems to change every single day. Like, you know, if you pay attention to some of these YouTube channels, like, you know, Miami's going to the Big 12, Louisville's going to the Big 12, you know, everybody's moving, and it's like, and then the next day it changes. So,
right. So real quick answer right here. Quick answer from the guys. ACC or SEC? Start with you, Lovey.
I'm an old head, man. I say stay in the ACC if we can, I mean, and get truly ACC teams and not West Coast teams. If we're going to pile up on the West Coast teams, then let's go to the SEC.
Okay. Dennis?
I'm old school. I think the ACC needs to do, excuse me. I think the ACC needs to do what the rest of these conferences are doing and go in and start poaching some of these other schools. And you know, I don't think Carolina or any other school from the ACC benefits. And you said quick answer. I'm sorry. You look at Clemson. What does Clemson offer the SEC other than football? What other sport?
Mm-hmm.
What other sport? the Carolina is very few teams that has a program like North Carolina, but I think that the ACC, I'm ACC, and talking about ESPN is another day or whatever, but ESPN is behind a lot of this mess.
Right.
So I'm
just so
ACC.
you guys know, Dennis says stay in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Dennis wants to stay in the ACC.
Yes.
Yeah. ACC, and I've laid out my whole, the two biggest cautionary tales about you going to the SEC, like I said, are your brethren to the South that are 40 games under 500 in the SEC, and Texas A&M, who has had nothing but top 5 recruiting talent for the last 10 years, and Western Carolina and Catawba have as many SEC West titles. I'll say this: you may get more money in the SEC. Your best path to the college football playoff is in the ACC. And that's not, it's just not negotiable. I'm sorry. You go into the SEC and I'm as an outsider looking in, your best shot, you are Ole Miss. Your worst shot, you're Vandy. You're middle of the pack. You're hoping to get to 6 to 8 wins. Every now and again, you have a 9-win season. And that's the way I see it. Whereas if you stay in the ACC, you can get to the level where, you can compete with Clemson. You can compete with Miami. You can compete with these teams. And how much money are you going to make being into the CFP? Everybody's goal now is the college football playoff. By going to the SEC, I just don't see that happening. You stay in the ACC, that could be a legitimate possibility.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
To kind of piggyback on what Hutch just said, I would be really interested to see how those teams that have come into the Southeastern Conference and how their schedules have been loaded, opposed to, everybody thinks that Georgia and Alabama plays a difficult schedule every year in the Southeastern Conference. No, they play each other and they play Auburn. But if you look at their schedule, I guarantee you, if Carolina, Clemson, and some of these other schools, they're going to be playing those 3rd, 4th, 5th place, 6th place teams on a regular basis in the South. The Southeastern Conference is not, and I'm just on this. This is just me. The Southeastern Conference is not going to let Carolina, Clemson, or whoever else to come into their conference and just take over it, not pushing Alabama and Georgia to the side.
Yeah. You talking about
so their schedules are going to be top heavy. Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I do. I get it. I understand it, man. I think it's just maybe it's the little man in me that just, I want the smoke, man. I'm not afraid of the 3rd, 4th, 5th best team in the SEC. I'm not, especially if the culture changes, the money is there, we start getting better recruits, we're getting kids to stay home as opposed to going to South Carolina, Tennessee. Quick answer. You guys already know. Look, man, I'm a traditionalist at heart. I love the Atlantic Coast Conference. This is not the same ACC that I grew up with. We got stinking Stanford, Stanford, Cal, and SMU in here now. It's not like we're talking about the original 9-team Atlantic Coast Conference with the Maryland Terrapins. And, it's just, it's hard for me. It's hard. It's so much of a different conference now that it's hard for me to really have any, that loyalty, to it anymore, because it's just been turned on its stinking head. And so from there, I feel like everybody outside of the P2 is eventually going to become irrelevant. And I think that Carolina needs to strike while the getting is good, and so as not to be left behind. But I will concede, man. I think that you guys make great points as to why it would be beneficial for Carolina to be in the ACC. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, if we continue to get 1 or 2 CFP spots, the clearer path to the college football playoff is through the Atlantic Coast Conference. But I just can't help but think about Saturdays, man, playing Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, South Carolina, and just getting the opportunity to go to war with those teams, man. I know it's a gauntlet. But to me, it sure beats the hell out of, Charlotte, Richmond, Cal, Stanford. It's just, I don't know. Call me a moron, but that's just where I'm leaning right now, man. I want to see big time college football, and I think in order to be big time college football, you got to play big time college football, and that's just where I kind of stand. I may end up 5 years from now falling flat on my face. If Carolina makes this move and they're terrible, they end up, a really bad Kentucky-ish or South Carolina, who's, every 10 years they're good. But I'd rather die knowing that I took my shot, man. I'd rather die knowing that I took my shot. So I gave the longest answer here. I apologize for messing up my own rules. This year, year one, what is your biggest concerns on this North Carolina team? I'm going to start with you, Hutch. What do you think, bro?
Biggest concern, honestly, man, and I don't know that anybody's brought this up. I don't know anybody that would know this, is that, your kicker is, you're going to play a lot of tight games. You're not going to blow anybody out. Maybe Richmond, Charlotte, the teams that you should blow out, but you're going to get into the conference schedule. It's going to be a lot of dogfights. Right. Verhoff is a career 66.7% kicker coming from Marshall. Okay, to put that in perspective, Division I kickers, 75.1% average. Okay, to put this in further perspective, because I broke it down, I'm like, okay, well, is this kid one of these cannon leg kids that they had a bunch of long 50-yard plus attempts that tanked his average? Right. He's 13 for 22 from 30 to 39. That's 59%. He is 13 for 23 from beyond 40. That's 56%. You combine those two, he's 57% from beyond 30. He has one career field goal of 50 yards or longer. You should be at above 80 from 30 to 39. Honestly, closer to 85 at the Division I level. Right. To put it in further perspective, the ACC, for whatever foibles it has, they had 3 outstanding kickers last year. Borregales got drafted by the Patriots, Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State, and Ben Sauls from Pitt. And Sauls is like a clear career 82%. But you look at him last year, was 6 for 7 from beyond 50 yards. He had 2 misses in his entire Pitt career under 40 yards, 2. And Fitzgerald was 100% last year. He was 90.1 the last year, or 2023. Borregales has, I think, close to 90 career field goal attempts, 86%. So going forward, you're going to play some tight games. You got a kid who's not getting it done. That's cause for concern.
That's a good point.
I'm just saying, and I'm not sure that a lot of people understand that, where you break down those numbers, that's definitely a cause for concern, where you're going to play a lot of games where, hey, he had a game last year, missed two from 30 to 39, and they ended up winning it, but those come back to haunt you in tight games.
Right. That's a good point. Good point, Hutch. Levy?
Well, I harp on it all the time in the hooligan. Is the defensive line. I think we're very thin. Defense is going to decide this year for us. I think we'll score. We're not going to be a high-scoring team. I think we'll score. We're going to try to control the clock, slow the game down, and I think we'll score this year. I just don't know if we can stop anybody. I feel good at linebackers and defensive backs. I'm really concerned at the defensive tackles and ends. We have some starters out there. I'm curious what Steve's going to do defensively wise, because I'm curious. He doesn't blitz a whole lot if you look at his history. I mean, he does pick his moments to blitz, but I think we're going to have to blitz a little bit more this year to make up for the defensive line.
Right.
A lot of times, I've heard people say, well, defensive, you don't really know. A lot of times a defensive lineman is taking up 2 different people so the linebackers can make the play. But you can't get pushed 5 yards back into your linebacker who's supposed to be making the play.
100%.
So that's one thing I thought in the past, back when I was young, and I'm sure that, it's probably not even taught this one anymore. When you felt double team pressure and you were getting moved, you were supposed to drop and fight through the double team, make a big mess there so the linebackers can make the play.
Or
Yeah.
they taught you just drop them in the pile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just make a big mess so the linebackers can see what's going on and get around and make the tackle.
Right.
I think offensive line, I think we're going to be good. I did notice, now again, it was the first day of practice. That offensive line was flipped from what I thought was supposed to be the early, even what was it, Tar Heel 247 now? They were trying to say the depth chart on the offensive line. It's not who lined up first on the ball the other day in practice by far. So I even mentioned this once kind of jokingly, but I'm serious about it. Is should they not move one or two offensive linemen to the defensive line to get in and play a play or two here and there to free them up just to make a big pile of mess? Because they've got some big bodies on that offensive line that's going to be sitting on the bench. Now, I know they're going to rotate them in and give them time, but I feel good about the offensive line. I'm really worried about the defensive line. And I think our whole team, our whole season will be based on what our defensive line does.
Okay. Dennis?
Well, Russ, we've talked about this, and my biggest concern, and it's been a concern. Hutch spoke on this about the kickers. My biggest concern, and it's a concern that I never saw Mac Brown address, which surprised the heck out of me for a Division I national championship coach. He never fixed our special teams.
Yeah.
We might have had the worst special teams probably in the country as a whole. And I will say this, kicker, punter, our kicker was, he was, I guess, I mean, I don't like to use the word okay, but our special team as a whole was god awful.
Yeah,
and they've
100%.
been that way for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I coached for 20 years, and Hutch said he coached. And I know Hutch will tell you this. A special teams can make your damn defense look awful good.
Yeah.
By field position.
Yep.
Right.
They can flip a field in a minute. And Mac Brown, we never had we might have been the only college team in the country that did not have a special teams coach. Yeah. And whenever I have seen, even at the high school level, the college level, or anywhere, whenever I've seen a head coach take position coaches and not have a coordinator to kind of, because the position coaches, they're concentrating on their position. So they don't, it's not that they don't coach the special teams well, but when you have a coordinator that can break down the teams that you're playing against and make sure that you're in the right position to make a play. And right. Special teams, like I said, special teams can make a kind of a defense that's not that great look good,
right?
Just by field position.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to get your kicker to make a 40-yarder and he can't even make a 30-yarder, he's only making, like Hutch said, he's only making 31. I don't remember what he said percent-wise, but that's gonna hurt you.
Yeah.
And my other thing is how physical are we going to be on all aspects? How are we going to run down that field on the kickoff and just take people out trying to set up a wedge and trying to set up, return this size out? Are we going to do that defensive? Are we going to have, Russ, you and I talked about this last year. We ain't never. I don't think when's the last time we had anybody that could set the edge defensively?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm concerned with is especially special teams and just being physical.
Right. Yeah, being physical. Yeah. I mean, those are, I Lovey talked about the defensive line. That's going to be one of the first places that I was going to go. I think Hutch brings up a really good point about the kicker, man, with the tight games. You know, it's something that I probably didn't take into consideration as much as I should have, because I do believe they're going to be lower scoring games. And in those lower scoring games, you obviously need somebody that can put it through the uprights, man. That's going to be pivotal, especially when we don't know exactly how formidable the offense is going to be. So, you know, are we getting 6, or are we settling for, you know, 3s with, you know, a kicker who's maybe let's just say that previously he hasn't had, you know, the best track record. Now maybe they've worked with him and he turns it up, but you know, it's definitely a cause for concern. And then once again, the defensive line, man, especially the interior. Like Lovey said, you know, if your defensive tackles, and we saw this even with 5 stars like Travis Shaw getting drove back into, you know, Sed's lap, you can be the best linebacker in the country, bro. But if your D line's not getting any push, and you know you got guys in your lap, you're not going to be able to strafe. You're not going to be able to fill the hole, and you know we can't get pushed off the line of scrimmage. So the defensive line is definitely a cause for concern. I think the secondary is going to be really good, but the secondary could be made to look not very good if the D line's not getting any stinking push, man. You know, if we're not getting any pressure on the quarterback and you know, week 1, Hoover's back there just sitting in a clean pocket, you know, you can have the best corners in the country. You can only cover for so long. You know, so those are 2 that I'm definitely looking at. And then obviously the quarterback situation. I have a lot of faith in Gio. I think Gio is going to be good. I think we got a really good quarterback room, but they're a little bit younger aside from Max Johnson, who's coming off the injury. So the quarterback position is you know, I feel good about Gio, but I'll feel so much better when I see it. You know, when I see it, that's when I'll be like, okay, all right, okay, we're cooking with stinking gas here.
Let me ask you this, Russ.
What's up, Hutch?
What if Max Johnson wins that job? You know, I read there was an article I read today that, you know, there's no player A, there's no player B, there's no 1-2. There's 2 guys competing for 1 spot, and whoever wins it is going to get it. You know, and if that's one thing about Bill, the one thing I've always respected about him, you know, Lovey, born and raised in Pittsburgh, I hate his guts because I hate New England. But the man is not inflexible. You know, the man has always adapted, and if he has to change what he does, he'll do it.
Right.
He is going to put under center the person who is going to be able to best win football games, no matter who that is. Whether they spent money on Gio in the portal, whether they've done – the best player is going to be under center against TCU.
And see, I love that. I love that. You know, you've heard me talk ad nauseum about, hey man, they're paying the guy $4 million over 2 years. He's going to be the stinking starter. But what I respect the most about Bill is the fact that whoever wins that job is going to win that stinking job.
I mean, Max Johnson's a former 4-star. This is a kid who's thrown 47 touchdowns,
I agree.
13 picks.
Yep.
He started 22 games at 2 major Power 5 schools.
Right.
You know, you really don't know what you have with him because he got hurt last year.
Right. And look, the Minnesota game, we all know the Minnesota game was not pretty at all. Some of that could be attributed to maybe game, you know, scheme. Who knows, man? Who knows? Because the Max Johnson that I saw in the Minnesota game is not the Max Johnson that I watched, you know, during LSU, Texas A&M, you know, film that I watched. So, you know, there's no doubt in my mind that Max Johnson can do the job. There's no doubt in my mind. So if Bill says, hey, this is the guy, I'm with it, man. I trust Bill. I trust the staff to put the best person in the spot to help this team be successful. So if Max Johnson wins the job, great. He's 6'5", he's sturdy, you know, you know, I do believe that he's proven that he can compete at a high level. We'll put it that way. So, and that's one of the reasons why I think the room is so good, because I think, you know, Max has shown that he's done it in the Southeastern Conference. He's been successful. Gio had a really good year at South Alabama, you know, and I do see some, I know I got some smoke about this earlier. I don't know why, but I do see some Sam Howlish, you know, game style, if you will. He's just a shorter, stockier dude. Hard to bring down. You're not going to arm tackle him. And then, of course, you got Bryce Baker and a Torrey Newkirk there as well. And everybody's saying that both of them look great. So the quarterback room is good.
Do you think Gio, though, I mean, I'm sorry to kind of interrupt in here because watching all these practices and stuff. Now, Gio had great numbers.
Mhm.
His offensive line, 6'5", 6'7", 6'8", 6'6". He's 6 foot. Now, listen, I'm a big Drew Brees fan.
Right.
He was not tall. Bryce Young has had a hard time in the NFL, started looking better, kind of being a shorter quarterback. I do think if Max wins that job, they will have packages where Gio gets in and he runs the ball or he'll run pass because he's too athletic.
Right.
He might be the number 2 back after Bullet if he doesn't win the job. I don't know. But that's the only concern with me with him is, and I know he played against the LSU and some bigger schools, but man, I was watching that, them run through the sled drills and stuff, man. You had Green and McVeigh, and they're 6'5", 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah.
And they had him standing at 6'5", Max at 6'5", and Gio he may barely be 6 foot.
Right.
6 foot, probably shoes on.
Right.
There's a huge difference there.
100%. 100%.
But I mean, he's done it. He's done it for the last couple of years at 6 foot, and hopefully he can still do it. But that's why I think another thing we haven't really brought up, Ramsey's, is that,
Sorry,
but
guys,
also
he's going crazy.
Kitchens as an offensive coordinator.
Right.
He done it in Cleveland one year when he filled in, then he got the head coaching job the year after. But how's he going to call the game?
I know, man.
Run. Are they going to put 8-9 in the box on him and he still tries to run the ball?
I know. That's a
There
good
was
point.
I know that bowl game was not really,
it was
a bowl
terrible.
Game. It was so horrible. Like we tried nothing different.
Right.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of questions there for Carolina, but I do feel more confident about the offense than I do the defense. I mean, just overall.
Here's another big question I'll ask the Hooligans is, how do you replace Marion Hampton's production? How are you going to replace the production that you got from a Marion Hampton?
That's a good, that is a good question. That's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I've watched the film and to be a 6 foot, I was a 6 foot 6 foot tall quarterback. And that if he can find the alleys and if he can process it, here's one of the things that I'm going to look for in Gio. His pre-snap read.
Mm-hmm.
That is critical for a 6 foot tall quarterback. If he knows where to get the ball and get it out early, that won't be a problem for him. And I believe this. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that Coach Belichick will have him and those guys have him ready with his pre-snap reads so that he'll say, okay, this is a defense. That's the hole. That's your alley. Get it in that alley and get it to Ship or whoever else is out there. Now, if he can't do that, he's going to have problems. I do like his running ability. I do like how he keeps his head up when he is when he's moving out of the pocket or getting up in the pocket. I do like that in him. One last thing on that. My concern for Max, I watched him when he was playing in the Southeastern Conference. He's still in the Minnesota game holding on the ball. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I can't figure out why he does that. I mean, it could be he just don't want to make a mistake. He's just kind of playing it, safe. I don't know what it is. I don't want to speak for him, and I'm glad he's back and he's healthy. But that concerns me when a quarterback holds on to the ball like that and have played as much as he has played. That's a concern, and as long as he's played, that's a concern for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is. You got to let the thing go, man, and maybe that's even confidence in your decision making. Like you said, he hasn't thrown a lot of interceptions, hasn't made a lot of mistakes, but some of that could be, just being afraid to pull the trigger. I'm not really concerned as much about Gio's height. I mean, if he was 5'7" like I am, yeah, that'd be a concern. But him hovering under 6 foot, is it ideal? No. At the college level, I think it's doable, even though you got a big offensive line. I mean, we had a guy named Darien Durant who was one hell of a gunslinger. And, Darien was 5'11", and he found his lanes. He let it stink and rip. And, he was pretty successful at Carolina, had some big wins. So
a bunch of Grey Cups with the Saskatchewan Rough Riders.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, brother. Exactly. Darien's a good example of somebody who's not 6 foot. I don't even think Darien was listed at 6 foot. So if he's listed at 5'11", he might have been closer to 5'10". But, the point is that he was successful in college. Carolina didn't have very good years necessarily, while he was there, but he played fairly well. So it's doable. And I think Gio is probably has the ability to be a little bit better than a Darien Durant. And I tell you what, I really do think that, with the offense we have, if he can be, mid at best, or, even if he's just mid at best, I think that we can score some points. I don't think it's going to be the high flying Drake May offense, or, we're not going to be dropping 45, 50 on people. But, sometimes in the low 30s, mid 30s or something like that, and the defense, we're shortening the game and the defense is playing a little bit better, then I think we can get some W's, especially with this schedule. So, but quarterback, man, it's one of those things where I'm definitely gonna have to see it. I'm excited about it, but I have to see it to believe it. But I do think that the room is good, and we'll find somebody that can get the job done. But like Levy said, really good point, real quick, and sorry to take up so much time on this. One of those things is that really needs to be. I'm going to have to see how Freddie Kitchens calls the stinking offense, because I still personally was very surprised by the hire for that position, especially. So that's going to be something I'm looking at 100% is how does Freddie, get this thing done? And are we just trying to pound a stinking square peg into a circle, or, are we going to be able to do enough to make the offense multiple enough to where we can have some success, man. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
Russ, and you guys have Hutch and you guys have watched Belichick over the years through this with him coaching New England. I can't recall Belichick ever hiring a high-profile offensive coordinator. His coordinators, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, his coordinators have been pretty much kind of, you're going to run Belichick's system. You're going to run the ball, and you're going to go play action. So I don't think he's going to turn Kitchens loose with his offensive playbook. I think him and Kitchens are going to have an understanding of, kind of like with Josh, I can't think of the offense coordinator he had there. Yeah, McDaniels. Yeah, McDaniels wasn't McDaniels. Other teams went after McDaniels after he coached, or he was offense coordinator in New England. But I'll if anybody got anything to say on that knows Belichick better than I do as far as New England's concerned, I don't think he's kind of kept the reins on the offensive coordinator as far as when it comes to the offense.
Mm. Yeah.
Charlie Weiss is probably the only real kind of, I hesitate to say, high-profile guy that he's had. Yeah.
I would agree with that. I was actually just sitting here looking at the OCs under him. We got McDaniels, Van Pelt was there for the 2024 season, Bill O'Brien, and then Charlie Weiss going back in succession right there. So, yeah, it's a really good point, man. I'm like I said, just very interested to see how Kitchens calls the offense, man. Press said Belichick is going to play to his team's strengths and the opponent's weaknesses on both sides of the ball. That's something that I do think that we can find. It'll be consistent. I think that Mac struggled with that in the last couple of years is playing necessarily, or at least, finding the weaknesses necessarily, especially from a defensive perspective. The defense has just been so bad the last couple of years, man. So I think just the discipline, the technique, all that kind of stuff, man, with this new coaching staff is going to greatly enhance that side of the football. It's just, can the defensive line hold up, man? So we've almost been here for an hour, man. I want to end on this. And like I said, man, I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out with me, man, on a Monday night. Expectations. Okay. Lovey kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier in the show, about pumping the brakes, man. So Lovey, let me start with you, brother. What are your expectations for this season? What do you think that Tar Heel Nation should be really focusing on? And what kind of season or what kind of things can we glean or take from, what we see on the field to where we say, okay, we're heading in the direction that we think we should be?
Yeah, me and the Hooligans, I think I've said probably the lowest number of wins this year. I was looking back at the schedule again this year, and even though it's very weak, I hear a lot of people saying 8, 9, 10 wins. I'm going to say 7-5,
Mm-hmm.
and anything less than 7-5, I'm disappointed in. 7-5 or more, I'm happy with.
Right.
Now, year 2 or 3, I want better than that. To me, the TCU and the Florida game is going to. I mean, not who is it? Central Florida.
Yeah, UCF. Yep.
Yep. Those two. That's going to be a big break for if they go 0-2 right there. They definitely 7-5 or 6-6.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I still think we lose to Duke. I still think we lose to State. I think we lose to Syracuse at Syracuse. So those are my 5. If I had to say right now, my 5 losses out of that 7-5, it would be TCU, the Central Florida, the State, Duke, and at Syracuse.
And at Syracuse, okay.
If we can go 2-0 against TCU, and then yeah, it jumps up to 8-4 or 9 and even 9-3. But
right.
I'm just scared that we'll have a I think our expectations are so high. Now, in saying this, I think we're going to be in a lot of games. They're going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
Last year I saw people on some of the Inside Carolina games going, "Oh, we're going to be 10-2 or 11." I mean, people are too excited over this. I get it. We're spending a ton of money on Belichick,
right?
But we got to develop. And I'm telling you now, if the defense comes up big, I think we can have a better year. But I'm saying 7-5. I will be happy 7-5. Next year, I want 8 or 9. But 7-5, I'm happy.
Okay, Lovey. Dennis.
I love it. Lovey threw me a curveball. 7-5. Looking at the schedule and knowing, I don't have any more Mac Brown flashbacks. Knowing what we have in those close games, knowing that we got Coach Belichick on the sideline, where we were in close games last year, Coach Belichick's going to be a difference maker in those close games.
Right.
And looking at it, my expectations with the schedule that we have this year, I'm 8-4, 9-3.
Okay.
However, I do believe that the most important, not the most important game, that if we can get to 4-0, if we can pull out 3-1, 4-0, going 2 weeks before we play Clemson in Chapel Hill, those first 4 games, 3-1, 4-1, is going to make a difference in our season. It's going to build the kids' confidence. It's going to build what we have. And looking at the schedule, I just don't see us losing to Syracuse, Duke, and NC State.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse, maybe. I don't see Coach Belichick knowing that he understands the history, that he's going to allow these kids to lose to NC State and Duke. I just don't see it happening. I see this team. I see with this schedule was made at the right time for Coach Belichick to come in, because it's not our normal schedule where we're playing. We got a Miami in there somewhere. We got a Virginia Tech in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. We don't have them. Clemson is Clemson. Clemson's going to be loaded. But to me, I think before we get to Clemson, the telling game is going to be that UCF game.
Right.
That Central Florida game. That's going to be the game where we can make a difference. It's going to make a difference in our season. That I think we'll be jacked up for TCU. Mm-hmm. And if we can come into that Clemson game 4-0, and the kids can play Clemson tough, and then we head down the stretch, I don't see us losing to Willie Mouth, NC State this year. Right. As long as Coach Belichick's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hutch.
So,
I think, the schedule is just tailor-made in a lot of ways to make a run. I'll say this. I think Belichick is going to have the defense disciplined. And I know I shouldn't say this. I'm going to mention the D word. I really enjoyed watching Duke play last year just because their defense under Manny Diaz was so disciplined. Mm-hmm. They weren't great athletes, but they were gap sound. They were great tacklers. They forced a lot of turnovers. They were fun to watch in that respect. They were a whole greater than the sum of their parts. And I think Carolina can do that on defense this year. The only games that I point out on that schedule, I'm going they're probably not going to win. I hate to say TCU. I think is just a better team at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Reaver's a hell of a quarterback. They'll come in there. I think they were 16th in the preseason poll. And then Clemson just got Sunday talent a lot of places. The rest of the games, they're winnable. You got a bunch of 50-50 type games where, you throw the records out when Duke and Carolina play. You throw the records out when State and Carolina play. Okay, they're going to be dogfights. You should beat UCF. You should beat Cal. Cal's not. They lost 60 kids in the portal. This is not a team that should be any good talent-wise. UCF, talent-wise, I think they're a consensus 15th team in the Big 12, and those should be wins. If you're 4-1 going into the final 7 games of the season, Syracuse to me it's a trap game, but if you look at that schedule, that team loses Kyle McCord, 4,800 yards passing. They lose Aronde Gadsden. They lose their top receiver. There's 8,000 yards of offense gone from that team.
Yeah.
They play Tennessee to open the season. They're at Notre Dame. They're at Clemson. They're at Miami, at SMU, at Georgia Tech. And then they get Duke, Carolina, and Pitt at home. That gauntlet, I think, is just going to eat that team up.
Yeah.
Granted, it's a road game on Halloween. It's winnable. You have a bunch of games that are winnable. You beat Wake. You have Stanford. I think the floor. I think if everything goes wrong, it's 7-5. I think you end up 8-4. I think you split. You either beat Duke or you beat NC State. The only other losses are TCU, Clemson, and you drop another one along the way. But I think 8-4. If you can go 8-4, 8 wins, whether you go 7-5 and win a bowl. If you go 8-4 and win a bowl game and you're 9-4 in your first year, that's an outstanding first season. And if you can build the bedrock on that season where, hey, we've established an identity, we've played competitive football. You were competitive against TCU, you were competitive against Clemson, you were competitive in every game. You go into next year looking for, hey, now we're going for year 2 progress. This is the time we take a shot at an ACC title. We're trying to go to Charlotte at the end of the season. And anything less is a disappointment. So
7-5, 8-4.
I say 8-4. I think you're 8-4.
8-4.
I've said that all along. It's not going to surprise me if you win 9 games at all.
Right.
But I just think that there's a bunch of those games that it depends on who shows up. Is there still somebody undisciplined from last year, or do you come in a really disciplined team this year where you win games? And again, like I said, there's some trap games. You got a cross-country road trip to Cal. You should win, but you got to show up and be focused and disciplined.
Right.
You got a Halloween night game at Syracuse that, is going to have gone through a gauntlet of a schedule, but they still have talent. You got to show up.
My 7-5 to me was the floor. I think the ceiling's 9-3.
Yeah.
that was the
I'm
four
picking
for
the
me.
sweet spot of 8
7-5.
and 4 between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. My floor would be 8-4. Ceiling would be 9-3. Squeak out another win in there somewhere. Go 10-2. I hate to say 10-2 again. The way Lovey brought that up. He brought up that 10-2. I wasn't gonna touch that. I wasn't gonna touch 10-2.
What was the Tommy Ashley said he was going to go undefeated last year with Inside Carolina?
Yeah. I mean, I can't knock him too much, man, because I've picked 11-1 the last couple of years, dude. So
Yeah, so did I. So did I. But I think they can squeak. I think we can get 9-3. I really do.
9-3. Yeah. So I'm looking for the thing that I'm really looking for, man, is just the discipline, the tenacity, the aggression. Not getting pushed around, man. I'm really the thing that I'm so focused on right now is a football culture. Like I was telling you guys before we got on here, man, I was watching my son. It's my son's first year of tackle football, and I'm watching these kids, man, and they're just kind of like, they're not running through each other. It's just, they're scared. They don't want to. They're not understanding the concept of violence right now, between the lines. Good violence. This is good violence, man. I want to see some violence, bro. I want to see people filling the hole. I want to see, people popping people, man. I want to see good football violence, which to me would be indicative of a culture change. If we can do that with this schedule, when I go through this thing, even with a questionable defensive line, I'm wondering, when you're looking at Stanford, Wake Forest, Duke, State, mid-team Virginia, can they not at least hold the line against those guys, those types of programs to where we can be competitive? But I don't know yet, man. I still haven't released my personal preseason prediction. That'll come probably within the next week or something like that. But I think that I'm going to go back to actually something that Max said when he first took the job again. And I think it's something that we need to get back to. And I talked to Dennis about this earlier, man. I think it's important that we start from the foundation. We build the foundation, and we have to win the state. Belichick is here. The talent is superior than what State has on their roster, what Duke has on their roster. We should not be getting outcoached, okay, which maybe have been the case when we played Duke last year. Hutch was talking about how disciplined and gap sound Duke was, right? There's no excuse for us not to be the same thing with better talent now. So we have to start by winning the state of North Carolina. There is no excuse for us not to win the state. So what I would like to see in year one especially is beating Duke, beating NC State, beating Wake Forest, man. I think that those are 3 games that it needs to be an annual focal point. And I understand that we have national aspirations, but I think that Matt got it right when he initially said, hey, we got to win the state first. Once we win the state, we can build out from there. And in year one, after losing the victory bell to Duke, Wake Forest played us tough, even though they weren't very good. I was at that game for my birthday. And then losing to State for the 4th year in a row is unacceptable. So I want to see us build that foundation once again, because we've kind of torn the building down. Let's rebuild the foundation. Let's win the state. And, right now I'm kind of leaning at 8-4, 9-3, just because I think the schedule is so bad. Now, if we were in the Southeastern Conference right now, there's no way I'd say we win 8 or 9 games. Right. So I will give it to the gentleman here that, I'm speaking on behalf of the fact that we're in the Atlantic Coast Conference right now. But, that's what I'm looking for. Culture, win the state, and then we build from there. Because to be honest with you, man, beating some of these teams is not really going to give me a good barometer of any kind of progress, if you will, unless we're beating TCU. We go on the road and beat UCF handily, and we play Clemson tough. Aside from that, there's really no monsters on the schedule, man. No monsters on the schedule. That's just my personal perception. So, any other final thoughts, guys? I've kept you guys long enough, man. I know it's 9:00 on a Monday night. Any final thoughts?
We need to do this more often, man. That's my final thought.
100%. 100%, brother. 100%.
Yeah, I think join the Discord as well. I mean, number one,
there you go.
Subscribe to the channel, and then join the Discord. I mean, for the amount of money you pay monthly, it's just. I mean, you got other brothers that are out there. You know, we're talking sports, we're talking life, and it's well worth it. Everybody's got each other's backs. It's good networking. You know, and hey, when we lose, we cry together too.
That's right.
We complain and we cry about it as well. But it's a good support group, and it's more than just football and basketball and sports. But you know, baseball. It's kind of life as a Tar Heel overall.
100%. Well put.
You know, I think one of the things that I love about it is that you get this feeling that your hooligan brothers, you know, they got your back, and it's not like we're a little small club. Anybody can come in and be a part of this goodness right here. This is really something good, and the huddle is something good. And I told Russ in the beginning, it's interesting that the way that all of us found Russ is really the stories about how we found him are so similar. You know, I was scrolling through looking for something other than, I ain't gonna call no names, but anyway, looking for you guys know who I'm talking about.
Usual suspects.
You know, kidding. And you know, Hutch alluded to this. He said he was just looking, and I know Lovey was too. But then I was like, who's this dude right here? This dude talking smack, man. But he was speaking truth.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about it is that we all can disagree, agree, and at the end of the day, we're the hooligans. Right. You know,
I mean, hey,
that's
dude,
what I love about it.
I'm just a misplaced Pitt fan. Got lost on the way to friggin' work one day, and here I am. Like, you know, I was like that lost dog, and they were like, "Man, we got to take him in. We can't leave him out there in the rain, man."
Yeah, we got you, brother. We got you.
Come on, in. You're all right.
Hutch, I know you love Pitt, but I'm gonna tell you something, man. The way you sporting that jersey, dude. Hey, look. I'm telling you something. Hey, the way you sporting that jersey. I'm telling you, man, I mean, you're a Tar Heel, man.
Hey, you get me on the field. This kid starts missing kicks.
Oh, yeah.
Get me on the field.
Oh, yeah, we need to, exactly. 100%, man. 100%.
But Russ, one last thing. This right here is the true Carolina way. This right here.
Yeah. I agree, brother. I agree, Dennis. And that's why it is a good thing, man. It's a good thing, man. And like I said, I can't thank you guys enough, man. You know, it's stinking 9:15 on a Monday night, bro. And you guys know that we'll be chopping it up tomorrow. I mean, you know, it's throughout the day, man. That's one of the great things about the Tar Heel huddle, man, and especially being a hooligan, man. So
we got to get together and chop up we got to do an ACC preview, man, and kind of hash out with the conference.
Oh yeah. So the plan is next Sunday, man. We're gonna be trying to do this on Sundays. I'll let you guys know the timeline. Every once in a while, we'll get some more hooligans in here, man. When they're free. You know, it's good to get Hutch in here because he's kind of occupied on the weekends and everything. So like I said, man, I really appreciate you guys. Yeah, 100%, man. I appreciate you guys, man. I appreciate y'all's support, dude. And I can't thank you guys enough for all that you do, man. Your friendship. And like I said, I love you. Are you going to be at the game?
I'm hoping I have a job by then.
Okay. Yeah.
But hey, even if I can't get into the game, I think it's sold out, right? So, and the tickets are like 3 times more than.
Oh, bro, they're expensive.
I'm gonna try to find a way to get there. Hopefully, I'll have a job by then.
Yeah, they're expensive. I had to take a second job to get Hutch in, and then I'm like in debt to Preston. So this whole thing is thinking. This whole thing is coming together, man. But I know Hutch and Dennis will be there, man. We'll talk about that more as it comes up. So I'm super looking forward to that, man. We're less than a stinking month away. But like I said, if you haven't already, man, do me a favor, like, share, subscribe to the channel. Great group of guys, man. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be year 3 of the Tar Heel Huddle, man, going into football season, and we got basketball right after that, man. So
final thought is 4 weeks.
Join the Discord.
We will be in Kenan Stadium. 3 of us will be in Kenan Stadium,
bro. Yeah.
4 weeks from tonight.
Yeah, 100%, bro. 100%. Beautiful Carolina blue heaven, dude. I can't stinking wait.
Yep.
I cannot stinking wait, man. So, like I said, man, I love you guys. Appreciate all that you do, man. And we'll holler at y'all boys later, man. Go Heels.
Y'all take care. God bless.
All right, God bless, brother. Oh man, dude, I really appreciate it, guys. I think that went pretty well, right?
Fun, yeah.
That went pretty
Yeah,
well.
it went really well, man. I thought it went very well. I thought, that was